guys doing? So, I've actually recorded this review a bit differently. This is all direct footage from my live stream. The footage will kind of try to be correlating between what I'm actually talking about and what you guys are seeing on screen. So, that much said, I apologize for the lack of audio, but that's so you can hear what I'm saying. I will be unmuting myself, or you'll see the actual live stream parts at certain times when I feel it's necessary. Also, I cannot actually remove the stream tip counter or the Discord area. That's kind of what I put on my live stream so people can see it. So I apologize. That much said. And I'm covering up my camera. That happens during the live stream as well. That's what this camera is actually covering up. So before you say, well, couldn't you just cover it? No. I've covered it up with as much stuff as I can. Hopefully that has worked. In the meantime, we're here to talk about Space Hulk Deathwing. Now, I'm not going to say that objectively this game's a total disappointment. I am going to say it is a letdown, but it's not a total complete disappointment. At the core of the game are some very solid game mechanics. The game is functional. Weapons feel different. You definitely get the feeling of the slow and purposeful movement of a Terminator. You definitely get the sense that you're in a Terminator suit of armor, which can turn quickly, but walks very slowly forward, walks very slowly backward, has a limited time it can sprint. And is very large and bulky compared to your opponents. You get that feeling. You understand it. The level design is excellent. It is a giant maze, and a maze which you are kind of encouraged to explore. We're going to get to where the game has some problems later, but I'm talking about the good things first. Let's get the good things on first on this nice layer cake of Space Hulk Deathwing before we get on to the badness. The levels are, it feels like you're walking through a Space Hulk. Let's just be honest. It's cramped, it's claustrophobic. You constantly feel like you're going to hit your head on the ceiling. There are just parts of the Space Hulk you can't access because your Terminator armor's too big. The game makes that feeling hit you, and the soundtrack hits spot on. I can't play the soundtrack because a bunch of it is copyrighted music, but it really, really is spot on during moments of combat, during moments of storytelling, during moments of just walking through this giant hulking mess. The sound design is relatively good, but there are, again, some issues. Voice acting is, I'm not going to say it's top notch. It's not Mark Strong. It's not Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 2. It's not that voice acting that you expect from a AAA Warhammer title. It's not Battlefleet Gothic voice acting by any stretch of the imagination. But it is still good. The actors clearly put their time and effort into it. It just kind of feels like these were not the most experienced of actors, or these actors weren't given the best direction by the person directing them. There's just a little something missing from the voice acting that throws it off at times. Other times it's spot on, and then a lot of time it's pretty close. The basis for the story, yeah, I could give it credence. For the Warhammer 40K universe, I could say this story could happen. Where the plot goes, however, I don't necessarily agree with. There's too many plot holes that start showing up in the later game that just, I couldn't sink it. Like, I couldn't hook, line, and sinker it. You got me on the hook. You got the line tensed, but you didn't quite sink it in, and there were times where I clearly was stepping out of the plot and going, wait, that doesn't make any sense, or that's not how that really should work. But I'm a scientist. That's how I do things sometimes. Maybe for you guys it was a little different, but that's my subjective view on how the plot and story played out. Multiplayer, it's fun. I mean, at the core game, it's fun. The multiplayer, you definitely have to have, like, one of the problems that I did notice with the multiplayer in particular is the number of Tyranids does not matter whether or not you have one person or 4 or anything in between. You're still going to get the same number of Nids. And if you're just one person, you're screwed. You're boned. You need other people to play multiplayer. Flat out. You have to have it. And that's one of the game-breaking things is the Horde does not scale with the number of people. Other problems I have with the multiplayer, the level up system, it's only for the level you're on. It doesn't carry over. You have to re-level up. Just straight up play Codex Edition. Play it on Codex mode so that everyone starts with access to everything. That fixes that problem flat out. Just play Codex mode. I mean, I know you lose access to a weapon here or there, but it's better than having to level up every single chapter as you're playing with your friends. And I kind of agree with Zolan on this one. This game is truly meant to be played on the hardest difficulty on Codex mode with friends. That is how this is meant to be played. Hardest difficulty with friends on Codex mode, which is one of the reasons why the multiplayer is lacking. You cannot play the story campaign multiplayer. Why would you design a game that is an emphasis on playing with other people and then you can't play with other people through the story mode? That was just bad game design right there. And that's where we're going to start getting into the problems. There are game-breaking bugs still. There are times when you're working on hacking a door and someone else runs up and starts hacking it, and the second person that started hacking it is now jammed into the hacking mode. They can't shoot their weapon, they can't swing their fist or whatever melee weapon they have. They can't do anything until they walk up to another door and successfully complete a hack. Whether it be to block the door or open it, they have to do that. That's a game-breaking bug. Just flat out. Turrets in this game are way too freaking powerful. You have to stop your squad around the corner, have everyone surround you and defend the person hacking and hack those turrets. Because sometimes the turrets take very little damage to take out. Other times they just take a beating and they're issuing so much punishment. The one turret in particular that's just a heavy bolter turret takes multiple storm bolter clips, entire flamer clips. It takes multiple plasma cannon hits to bring down. And while it's shooting you, if you don't have a guy up there with a storm shield going, alright, I got this, I got this, I got this, you're just screwed because somebody's going to get boned. And the other thing I noticed with the turrets, even if you have your side turret where you have this big shoulder pauldron in your arm and your weapon and everything, it hits you center mass every shot. Doesn't matter how you turn, how you angle yourself, unless you have a storm shield up blocking, it always hits center mass. Which center mass and head are kills. If your center mass or your head are destroyed, you just die. So that's kind of stupid. Next thing, the ranged attackers. They have such a limited variety of weaponry that it has been amped up to 200. I mean this in a literal sense. Like the weapons capabilities that the hybrids get have just been ramped up to stupid. On any particular difficulty, heavy stubbers are way too lethal. If you ignore a heavy stubber for 6 seconds, you're dead. Even on easy. Even on the easiest difficulty. 7 seconds heavy stubber, you're down. Nothing you can do about it. Particularly at close range. And considering that your allies block your fire, but I noticed that the Gene Stealers don't block the hybrid fire, so rockets come right through the Gene Stealers and hit you in the chest. What? That seems real fair. But yeah, they just straight up heavy stubber, way too potent, especially against Terminators. Like, it should do a little bit of damage, maybe, but it should not rip you apart in seconds. I get that you want to feel you want your player to feel a little bit vulnerable, but even on easy, this is way too much. The regular Gene Stealers, by the way, are, even on the hardest difficulty, I found them to be pussies. Like, the full-on Gene Stealer is a pussy. And I'm not saying that because I'm a girl or because they're just bad. They oftentimes take too little damage. They oftentimes just bum rush you straight into lines of fire, straight into kill zones. They appear to have no other AI. Their AI equivalent would be the zombies from Left 4 Dead. We were promised a better AI than this that would think and react and bring about its horde in such a way that would counter what we were doing. But instead, if you just set up a clear kill zone with your backs to the wall, they just run right into it and you murder them over and over again. Which also brings me into the problems with the design of this Horde game. Now, I'm going to go over this as nicely as I possibly can. So a basic Horde mechanics indicate. Sorry about that. I had an upload fail. I'm recording this before I leave for Christmas, guys, so I apologize. But basic Horde mechanics dictate that there's a couple of things here that are changed from that basic formula that then aren't compensated for being changed. Let me explain before you get all angry at me. So in all Horde games, everyone can heal. That's how they work. Vermintide, Left 4 Dead, Space Marine to some degree. Any game in which you are facing a venerable horde of enemies, anyone on the field can heal. Space Elf Deathwing, you can only heal if you have an apothecary. And the apothecary is the only person that can heal. The Tactical Marine in multiplayer can res. That's true. But that's another problem. See, in Horde games, anyone can res too. And generally speaking, when you go down, your teammates have an opportunity to bring you back up. In Space Hulk Deathwing, when you go down, you just teleport out immediately. You're gone. Unless someone is playing a Tactical Marine, or in single player, you're just dead. But unless someone's playing a Tactical Marine, nobody can get you up. Nobody. You're just down. Which is one of the reasons why I think you're not allowed to have a Tac Marine with you in the single player campaign, because they couldn't program the AI to not res you. And therefore thereby making you virtually invulnerable so long as you don't die sooner than 90 seconds. So long as you only die once every minute and a half, you just get back up. Which would make sense. I mean, that would make sense. But furthermore, in Horde games, you will notice that there's this trend where the Horde has downtime. Where you are moving and you're running into individual enemies, or a 3 or 4 here, 4 or 5 here, 1 or 2 there, just one guy out by himself. You're running into a few. And you're not just being rushed by the venerable masses with specials and everything thrown in. In Space Hulk Deathwing, there are a lot of times when the Horde has no downtime. Particularly objectives that either involve you having to stay in one place or you having to escape. Which is a huge problem. Because if you're trying to escape, for instance, and the door's locked and you start a hack, if anyone comes up and hits you while you're hacking, the hack's broken. In the single player campaign on level 6, the only way we got past it, which by the way, I rage quit on stream because of this. I flat out rage quit it. And had to come back to it privately to glitch out the Horde. I had to glitch them out in order to hack the door and escape Chapter 6. Clearly, the alpha testers and the beta testers did not get to play to Chapter 6. Because if they had, they would have seen this glaring problem. It didn't matter if it was on easy, normal, heroic, or the top end difficulty. If I wanted to get out of there, I had to glitch the Horde. Because there's just this moment, you place an auger device, and then you get 5 Doesn't matter what difficulty, you get 5 of them. You get 5 Scythe Strain Gene Stealers, which are equivalent to warriors or even mini Tyrannid Carnifexes. They're just mini Carnifexes. They spew bioplasma. They have these huge armor-penetrating scythes. There's no good way to deal with them except for applying mass amounts of damage. And they eat damage like candy. You basically, for Vermintide purposes, are now facing 5 Rat Ogres at once. Which is... you lose. You just lose. On top of the unending horde of Gene Stealers. Not even Gene Stealer Hybrids, just Gene Stealers. And there's no break. There's no moment of clarity. I sat in a corner and sprayed 7 Flamer clips. And they were still coming. Over 300 Gene Stealers had died. And they were still coming. No horde in existence of video games ever, or for that matter, for the purposes of this game, 300 Terminators versus three Terminators versus 300 Gene Stealers, plus hybrid and Scythe Strain support. Those 3 Terminators are dead. Just dead. Just write them off. The only way we could get past this was to glitch the game. There was another part where I was defending one of my guys from, while he hacked something that took a long time to hack, and we had to stay in one place. The problem being, the one guy I was defending is the Heavy Weapons Marine, who has all of the DPS. And the Apothecary, who has none of the DPS. Because if you equip him with anything but the Storm Bolter, he can't have his Healing Fist. Bad game design. He needs something bigger than Storm Bolter. Basically, you're just screwed. We had to glitch the game to get past that because there's just too many. You don't have your secondary heavy weapon DPS. You don't have enough DPS with a squad of 2 to take that on. In multiplayer, we had the same problem. Squads of 2 were never sufficient. You always had to have at least 3 players to complete a level. Preferably all 4. And so this basic horde mechanic has been broken because not everyone can heal. You get no chance to res unless you're playing a tactical marine, and even then you only resurrect once every 90 seconds. You get no chance to get a breather at any point in time. Every single second of this game is getting rushed by oncoming Gene Stealers. It just depends on the volume coming at you at that particular moment. They seem to have no sense of self-preservation, no sense of AI, and no sense of doing anything but running straight at you. Hybrids would run up to me and hit me with buttstocks. I'm a Terminator. The buttstock of your rifle is going to do jack and shit. Which brings me to the next part that really breaks the immersion. You don't feel like a Terminator in combat. If someone hits you, it interrupts your swing with a power fist. Or it interrupts your shooting. It just interrupts you. You're a Terminator. You should be like Doom Guy. You should give no shits about being shot. Like, you really should be like Doom Guy from Doom. You should give no crap about the fact you just got shot in the chest. You have over a foot of solid, mythologically level Metal Gear armor on your body. You weigh 3 freaking tons. That means for you to move, I'm going to show you guys this. For you to move, you, a person in Terminator armor, to move, to even flinch from the impact of any weapon against your body, you weighing over 3 tons, you need to be hit with 5 of the 500 kilogram object moving at 20 meters a second. For those who don't know what 20 meters a second is, that is literally the fastest sword swing recorded on human history. You need to be hit with that. With someone swinging a 500 kilogram sword at 20 meters a second. I'm not even kidding. You need to be hit with that. That is dauntingly silly that a Gene Stealer that weighs barely 200 pounds can muster that kind of force. to literally jar you every single time you're hit. And if all 4 of your Terminators are being hit in kind of the sync time in multiplayer by the Horde, you're all 4 just reeling. You're just reeling from the hits, and you just die. So in combat, I didn't feel like a Terminator. And in multiplayer, where a lot of the weapons you don't have access to. You don't have access to the Vengeance Cannon. You don't have access to the Kraken round Stormbolter. You don't have access to the Heavy Flamer. You don't have access to the Mace of Absolution. You only have access to the Mace of Caliban. And you're heavily restricted based upon gun choice as to what you can have for a melee weapon. Anything but the regular Stormbolter, you have a Power Fist. You can't choose sword. Also in multiplayer, you don't get the Force Axe, which I thought was one of the nicest weapons in the single player campaign, was the Force Axe. And some of the unlocks in single player, it doesn't even explain what they do. Like, I unlocked the left and right pauldron. What does that do? It just says I have it. It doesn't actually tell me what this does for me. Like, how does this help me? Which, with the utter and complete lack of multiplayer progression, this is a pick up and play, and then when you guys are done, leave and don't come back type of game. The progression doesn't stick with you to the next level. The progression doesn't feel significant. It's just kind of there. So you play Codex mode, because Codex mode just starts you with everything unlocked and you can go to town. That's kind of sad but true. There was a real opportunity to capitalize on a progression system. I mean, even if all the progression system was doing was unlocking slightly upgraded versions of the weapons, or giving you the ability to pick from a more variety of combat armors, where you could have, you know, your Terminator look all specced out and look cool. Even if he is part of the Deathwing, you could still do it. It's not there. And one of the biggest aspects for 40k players, and you guys will admit it, I don't know if you guys will admit it, one of the biggest aspects for you guys is being able to customize what the fuck your Space Marine looks like. You goddamn well know I'm right. And the last major complaint I have about this game is the AI is terrible. The teammate AI during the solo campaign is awful. There is no way to set them to automatically heal each other. The tactical command menu is inconvenient at best, and the hotkeys either don't exist or are scattered all over the keyboard for different commands. Well away from WASD, so giving commands in the heat of combat is impossible. Getting your allies to focus fire on any particular target or any particular area, or giving them an area you want designated as shoot this, not available. Telling them to stand and defend a spot, they'll stand there, and then as soon as they start engaging stuff, they start walking forward towards it. I don't want you to move forward. I want you to stand your ground. There's no setting for that. And then eventually they'll make their way back, which means that if you're on a platform and they fall off the platform, they'll start walking all the way around to get back, isolated and getting beat on by Gene Stealers the whole way. Again, the apothecary refusing to heal himself at an appropriate time, only healing if you tell him to, which is stupid. Let's just be honest, is stupid. He should heal. You should have a way to set him to say, when someone hits this many hit points, you heal them. Doesn't have it. The biggest AI problem I found was just getting through doors. They'd come through the door, fine. I want to go back and lock that door, they'd run back through the door. No, I haven't actually gone back through the door. I don't want you to go through the door. I want to lock this door. And it would be just a constant fight, or I would have to access the command menu, order them to sit still, go to the door, lock the door, access the command menu, order them to follow, and then continue on. There's a break in the gameplay that shouldn't be there for that to happen. I shouldn't have to be telling them, stop! I should be, alright, you're through the door, lock door, let's go. Instead of either having to play seesaw or access the command menu over and over again, which I think is one of the problems. The command menu is just inconvenient, and you're never taught any hotkeys to use for it. You're just kind of told the command menu exists. Good luck. You're taught everything else about the game, like how to charge and knock people down, how to shoot, how to melee, how to find STCs, what they look like, how to find minor and major relics, what they look like, what walls can be broken, what walls can't. That's a good tutorial so far, except for when you get to your teammates, you're just basically told, hey, there's a command menu. Good luck. So yeah, I honestly cannot recommend this game in its current state. I am going to say this to the devs and the publishers. If the game wasn't ready, delay it. Flat out. You should have delayed. You should have said, not ready. Cut. We're not releasing this in this state. We're going to make this good. And you should have fixed it. You should have done more beta testing, especially when you did a beta test, saw problems, delayed 2 weeks. You should have done another beta test and given us full access to the game to point all this shit out to you and fix it. Now, I don't know Focus Home Interactive well enough. I've seen what they did with Battlefleet Gothic. What they did was good, but they haven't gone back and had Tidialos Interactive actually do more balance work or do anything since they released the Tau, which is kind of scary. Because I'm thinking that they're going to do the same thing here. Serum is not going to get told to patch anything. If they're going to release some DLC, they're going to release the DLC and then move on. They're not going to stop and fix the game, which in its current state is... I'm just going to say it. In its current state, the game is is good at a core mechanic level. At an advanced mechanic level and an intermediate mechanic level, it's broken. Core gameplay-wise is solid. But then as soon as you start adding on the other parts, it just starts falling apart. And another thing, I could not, for the life of me, find all the relics. I went through an entire level. Like, my stream watched me explore the whole goddamn level. I found 4 of 6 on that level. I went into every room, I went into every nook, I went into every cranny. I tried everywhere I could find. And I doubled back and did it again. Could not find the other 2 relics. Just couldn't find them. So we had to move on. I'd spent so much time doing this that it actually had run out of spawns. I had actually spawned every enemy in the level and had taken them all on. And since there was no infinite spawn, like there are at a couple sections of the game that I ran into where the spawn is infinite and does not let up. Which, granted, that's what you would expect from the Tyranids. You would expect an infinite spawn that doesn't let up. But not so much so that the gameplay is compromised in favor of making it where the Tyranids are infinite. I mean, that just compromised the whole game for me at that point. I could say more that the enemy types are not clearly defined by how they look. I mean, you have hybrids and gene stealers, but then how do I know what's a warrior strain and what's a bioplasma spitter? And I could not for the life of me discern a real difference between the scythe strain and the brood lord. And I'll tell you right now, if you have a plasma cannon, the brood lord and the scythe strain are pussies. Like, you just boom, and it stuns it long enough for the plasma cannon to recharge, and you poof again. Which the weapons, I have to agree with Zolan again. Like, I saw his review just a couple days ago. I figured I'd mull it over a little bit, and then went back and replayed the game and did some reading up on development of the game and everything. The weapons don't have enough boom or oomph to them. You hit someone with a power fist, and it really feels like you hit them, but not like you hit him with a power fist. It feels like you kind of hit him with maybe a chainsword or a really big hammer. Not even, and there's no special abilities for any of the melee weapons. They just swing. The power fist can't block, but does the most damage. Everything else can block. But there's no real. There's definitely a missed opportunity for some advanced melee mechanics with some special abilities. It also means that at the end of the day, there's no real point to equipping different melee weapons other than do you want to block or do you want to do more damage? And at the end of the day, I like the Power Fist just for saying I cast Fist, and also for the sheer amount of damage it does. At the end of the day, that's why I liked it. I enjoyed the Power Fist for that reason. But with no other reason for having a variety of melee weapon, there seemed to be no reason to pick a different one other than just grab what fits your fancy and go to town. Which is sad. I mean, it's a huge missed opportunity. So, there's the positives for you guys. Good core gameplay mechanics, great level design, excellent soundtrack that really, between the soundtrack and level design, really gives you the atmosphere of claustrophobia, of a Space Hulk, of a daunting task that lies ahead. The voice acting is good, but not great. The basis for the story is good. I don't feel the plot is very lore friendly, nor does the plot go somewhere where, you know, you would have expected it to at any point in time. But and it's not a good thing that it doesn't go where you expect it to. It just kind of, the plot feels very, very, very straightforward with and we all kind of expect, you know, the big chaos reveal or the big Tyranid reveal, and it just never happens. There's no big reveal and no big revelation, and nothing that really contributes to new Warhammer 40k lore at the end. The game has bugs. There are clearly just bad game design issues here. There are game design issues that actually break the Horde mode game design, which make the Horde mode game design harder just by game design reasons, and also make the Horde mode destroys the concept of a Horde mode that just make it impossible at times unless you glitch the game. You don't really feel like you're a Terminator in combat. The weapons don't have enough oomph. You're too easy to knock around. You just don't. You can't really discern the different types of enemies among the Horde. You just see a horde of Gene Stealers rushing you until suddenly there's a Scythe Strain or a Broodlord on top of you, or there's 5 missiles flying at you that fly through the swarm and hit you somehow. And the squad mates are terrible. Like, the AI squad mates are just stupid. They're straight up just stupid. They only do anything if the player tells them to, and since the command interface is constructed very poorly for this, and you're never really explained any hotkeys, nor can you set, and some of the commands you just can't set hotkeys to. It just makes it makes it almost unbearable to have to deal with that type of squad, with those type of terrible squad mates. So, there you go. There's the review. In the current state, I cannot recommend this game. If you already have it and you're enjoying it, I would assume you're playing the multiplayer with your friends, and you and your friends are finding some enjoyment out of it, but I would not expect the multiplayer to stay strong. I mean, for instance, the Warhammer 40k Space Marine, I can still get multiplayer games. Dawn of War 1 and 2, I can still get multiplayer games on any given day of the week. I don't expect this game to be that way. Battlefleet Gothic, I can still get multiplayer games. At least, you know, the ranked matches. But I don't expect this game to be able to get multiplayer games in 2 or 3 months unless you and your select group of friends get together and do it. So, there you go. I'm sorry if this was a letdown for you, but I've played through the entire single player now, and I've played over 4 hours of the multiplayer at this point. I kind of feel like I have a good grasp of the game, and that's what I have to say. So you can go check it out yourself. This is the other part that really kind of is a jib at me. It's a full-priced $45 game. They may have lowered the price since I recorded this review, but it's a full-priced game. And it clearly, like, blatantly was not ready for release when it was released. It just wasn't ready. And they released it anyway. And I hope they go back and fix it. I hope they go back and make this right. But Focus Home Interactive is not known for paying for such things, and Serum is a brand new developer. I could say as a brand new developer they did a good job, but we'll just have to wait and see if they're willing to go back and make this a great game. In the meantime, for my house heroes, this has been Fiaura. You can check out my channel, hopefully Remlays. Remember to put it in the description below. Please support Remlays on Patreon. Please. He needs it. And you can, hopefully he's put like another game review or something I've done for him or something, one of his videos, I don't care which one, over here for you guys. In the meantime, see you later. Gotta hope for another good 40K game in 2017, right? Dawn of War 3, please don't be this disappointing as you seem like you might be. Please, please, please surprise me. Please make me smile.